said you gotta give your all, so I stood on the roof and I sold my soul. After that I went and took it back. Here I am, got my life back on the right track. But you asked, do I question reality?
Hey everyone, I'm recording this after the exact full moon, which was probably 3 or 4 hours ago. But happy Virgo full moon, and I just didn't want to miss at least saying a few things about this Virgo moon. It's just because this is such an important month, and the Virgo moon is at 14 degrees, 50 minutes, although it's past that now by a little bit. And I have just rushed in from a walk with my son and my dog, and I'm rushing out again to restock my kitchen because we are totally without food, because we've been going through a lot of major house issues in the last 3 or 4 days, beginning with a sink that clogged up and then exploded twice all over my kitchen floor with filthy water. And that was after discovering a leak in my son's bedroom, and the carpet is soaked and they can't do anything about the leaks right now other than me catching water in buckets and continually vacuuming up the water from the rug. And trust me, it's just left me totally ungrounded, and I've been very preoccupied with keeping my house together. And for a while we had no water, and the leak is still a problem and will be for a few more days. So I'm really behind and had to reschedule readings and even spaced out a couple. I'm so sorry to you guys, but this is a very important full moon in Virgo. It is shining a light on where we need to be very discerning about any insights that we are getting relative to our next stage in our journeys, and what it is that is really pulling us, what it is that our inner knowing is telling us, this is where we need to go and this is my next step. So if there are any fears or insecurities coming up, or any doubts or any needs to always be having things perfect, or afraid to make changes because of not trusting yourself or the insecurity of the world to support those changes, there is a window of time right now where this full moon, and I would suggest, even though it's part of a yod that includes Mercury at 19 Aquarius, kind of moving out of range of the yod by tomorrow, but the symbolism of this full moon still stands relative to gaining insights and clarity and ahas around our mission, around what we're being pulled to do, around the changes we know inside. Our inner knowing is telling you that this is where we need to go. So really looking at what is our next step, where do we need to surrender and be with the chaos of and the insecurity of the situation, and where do we need to really take the steps that are necessary in order to move forward and not be paralyzed with inaction, either due to insecurity or perfectionism. So this is a big theme of this full moon today, and some ideas to think about as you're feeling into your own personal situation. A couple of big things coming up between now and the next full moon, and of course one of them is on the 16th. We have the exact square of Uranus and Pluto, but then 2 days prior to that we have Saturn moving retrograde at 40 degrees Sagittarius. And I think I don't have any of my notes in front of me. I'm sort of trying to stay away from my son's video noise, and excuse his shaky camera. I'm actually trying to do this on my iPhone. But on, I think it's June 15th, we have Saturn moving back into Scorpio, the 29 and 28 degrees, moving direct on August 2nd, moving back into Sagittarius by mid-September, I believe. So we are going to be revisiting all of the deep, dark, bottom line questions that we've been dealing with in our lives and collectively for the last 2.5, 3 years, that have gotten fairly intensified, especially relative to the collective in terms of corruption and secrets revealed and whistleblowers, and there's probably going to be more of that coming up this summer. It will definitely change the political movement in directions we weren't expecting. But for us personally, it touches into the idea of our inner knowing. What do we know to be true What do we know for ourselves to be right? What do we know for the humanity to be morally right and in tune with natural law versus man-made law? So I think themes of this year will be coming up that will really gain hold and be strong around the idea of natural law and how do we survive as a species within the ecosystems of other lives on Earth and other plants and animals and ecosystems, because we're coming to a head, we're coming to a climax. And in fact, that's what a Virgo moon will do. It'll bring things into a point of crises or bring things to a head. Why? Just simply to catch our attention and to go, what needs to be adjusted here? What steps do I need to take to improve myself? Or what steps do we need to take to make sure that we don't drive ourselves into extinction as a species? Because one of the key things about natural law versus man-made law is man-made law dominates, controls, manipulates, and that is a surefire way towards destruction, and destruction does not lead to growth and evolution. So eventually any species that does that will not survive. Natural law is based, yes, on predator and prey. Everything on this planet eats everything else on this planet. That's just the way it is. But there isn't the domination, control, and manipulation that we see with humans. And yet humans are part of the earth, and we need to readjust and reintegrate and rethink how we exist in this very biodiverse planet that has so many different systems that everything has to adjust to everything else. And anytime we see domination or control, then we know we're on the wrong track. And we all know what natural law is. It's in our DNA code. But if you're unclear about something, just look, does this move us towards love and harmony where everybody wins? Or does it move us towards destruction and divisiveness? Or you can look to nature. You know, nature's a great example of natural law. So, for example, I recently, the video Chernobyl, there was a documentary, which I'll put a link to it in case anyone's interested. But, you know, there's been several post-Chernobyl films and documentaries. This one was particularly fun because it was tracking a pack of wolves, 300 gray wolves, that had been introduced back into the ecosystem. And it's a very, again, biodiverse, flourishing forest of wildlife and plants and greenery that's taking over. Nature's taking over where man destroyed, and we can't go back there still. So it's fascinating. You know, they introduced wild horses back in there when they saw how the wildlife was flourishing. There's deer, there's bison, there's wild boar, there's birds, there's fish, there's flowers, there's trees, and it's everyone's living within the natural order of, you know, the natural predator-prey, but all the species are living in harmony in a naturally balanced, biodiverse, flourishing environment. And it's just an amazing thing to watch. So if we don't wake up and kind of organize our lives in a more balanced way that's in harmony with natural law, which we don't need to change the world or be an activist to do. We can just do it in our own homes with our own people around us, or even our own bodies. You know, we need to look at how we're eating and what we put in our bodies, and how, you know, whether we're in tune with just a real solid natural kind of environment, or whether we're trying to manipulate and control from a man-made perspective and possibly making things worse. So, Chernobyl. So, I'll put the link down there. But, you know, if we do destroy ourselves, which I don't think we're going to do, nature will take over and we'll just not be part of it, which would be a big shame. Anyway, this full moon in Virgo allows us to really analytically be open to the insights that come in, and just looking at what we're identified with, what we know is true for ourselves, where we want our lives to go, where our passions are, and then just really think about, what do I need to do to get there? What are the next steps? You'll notice on the full moon chart that there is many 14 degrees the moon and sun themselves are at 14, and Uranus is at 14, and Venus is at 15, and Pluto's at 15, and this is a mid-degree sign, and any midpoint sign is pretty powerful in and of itself. It's also very stabilizing energy. So whatever insights are coming in because of the Uranus and the Mercury and Aquarius energy that really gives you insights that are applicable to your personal life, that there's some stability to the energy and moving up forward too. So it's actually a really wonderful full moon, and it sets us up for, again, the Saturn in Sag going retrograde, which is where I got all of my natural law sort of tangent ramble, because natural law falls under the Sagittarian archetype. And Saturn in Sagittarius is going to focus us on how we need to relook at these types of themes in the next 2.5, 3 years. And when it steps back into the final degrees of Scorpio in the summer, there'll be more revelations coming up that really emphasize these points. So happy full moon, and use the fire energy that is also very predominant to really have some passion behind addressing any insecurities you may have, or any ideas about perfectionism that you may have that are the only stumbling blocks to this not being an incredibly an illuminating energy around where your personal creativity and passions are, because this is an imaginative and creative and inspiring kind of day that can set the tone for whatever comes in for you as being important for your growth and evolution. So some things to meditate on. I hope this makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm just going to slap this up, and if it helps a few people, great. If not, it was really nice to say hello anyway, even though I'm in the midst of a little bit of chaos myself, which is, by the way, very uncomfortable for my Virgo moon. But hey, we'll get through it, and until the next time. Okay, bye for now.